There's a kind of silence that feels different. Not peaceful. Heavy. That's the silence I was sitting in when I first noticed the charges. It was a Friday evening, and I was balancing our monthly budget, something I usually did on autopilot. Mark, my husband of 12 years, was out with the guys, supposedly catching up over beer and wings. I didn't think twice about it. Mark was dependable, boring even. The kind of man who couldn't lie to save his life. Or so I thought. But as I flipped through our joint bank account statement, something caught my eye. A charge from a children's clothing store. We didn't have kids. I squinted. Maybe it was a gift for a friend's baby? But the total $238.76 wasn't the kind of price tag you drop on a casual gift. Scrolling further, I noticed more strange activity. A restaurant in a part of town we never went to. 2 movie tickets. A charge from Build-A-Bear. Then another. A payment to a school lunch account under a name I didn't recognize. Madison H. I paused, my breath catching. Madison. That name stirred something. A memory. Mark had once mumbled it in his sleep months ago. I'd teased him about having a dream girlfriend. He'd laughed it off. I laughed too back then. But now, it didn't feel like a joke. I opened a spreadsheet and began to piece the purchases together, organizing them by date and merchant. A pattern formed. Weekends he claimed to be working late or out with friends always coincided with these transactions. Each time, the same types of charges, kid-related, woman-related, all centered around a particular zip code about 40 minutes away. My heart was racing now. I didn't want to believe what my brain was piecing together. This couldn't be real. Mark was Mark. He brought me tea in bed on Sundays. He kissed my forehead before leaving for work. We had our problems, sure. The distance lately. The stress. The lack of intimacy. But doesn't every marriage have phases? Still, something was wrong. And so, with my heart pounding, I did something I'd never done before. I followed him. The next Saturday, he said he had to cover for someone at work. I waited 20 minutes after he left, then got in my car. I knew where to go. The address tied to one of the school payments had shown up in the transaction details. It was risky, but I had to know. I parked a few houses down and waited. What I saw next broke me. Mark stepped out of his car. A young girl, maybe 6, came running from the house, arms wide, screaming, "Daddy!" He scooped her up like a man who had done it 100 times. Then a woman came out, kissed him on the cheek, and took his hand. I didn't cry. Not right away. I just sat there, frozen. Everything I thought I knew about my life was a lie. My Mark, my husband, their family. I couldn't move. My hands trembled on the steering wheel, and my throat burned with the scream I refused to let out. It was as if reality had split in half. The life I thought I had, and the one I was now staring at through a windshield. It took everything in me to drive away. I didn't go home. I couldn't. I pulled into a gas station, parked in the farthest corner of the lot, and stared at my reflection in the rearview mirror. Who was this woman staring back at me? A fool? A wife? A stranger in her own story? I had 1,000 questions. How long had this been going on? Who was the other woman? Did she know about me? Did she know she was the other woman? Or was I the other one? And that little girl, she looked just like him. I'd always wanted kids. Mark used to say we'd get there someday, that he wasn't ready yet, that he wanted to be stable first, that he didn't want to bring a child into a world where we weren't perfectly secure. Turns out he already had. I drove home on autopilot, walked through the door like a ghost, and collapsed on the bed without even taking off my coat. The next morning, I sat at the kitchen table, laptop open, and began to dig. I searched for the woman's name, Madison H., from the school lunch account. I found her on Facebook. Her profile was private, but the banner image showed her and Mark. Together. Smiling, holding hands at a beach resort. The caption, "Family vacation last summer, can't wait to go back." Last summer, Mark had told me he was on a week-long business trip. I clicked through what little I could see. Pictures of the girl, birthday cakes, Halloween costumes, a Christmas tree with Daddy written on ornaments. They were a real family, real enough to hurt. I sat back in the chair, numb. Then I opened our wedding album. 12 years. 12 years of anniversaries, arguments, Christmas mornings, sick days, house hunting, dreams we built. Or that I thought we built. And all along, he was building another life somewhere else. The worst part? He was good at it. Too good. The next time he walked through the door, I knew I couldn't confront him right away. I needed to be smart, methodical. I needed answers before rage clouded everything. So I smiled. I asked about work, made him dinner, kissed his cheek when he walked past me. I was playing a role now too, just like he had. I had always believed I was intuitive, that I could read people, that I'd know if something was wrong, especially with someone I loved. Now I realized I'd missed a whole other life right under my nose. Over the next week, I became someone else. Quiet. Calculating. I studied Mark like he was a stranger I needed to learn from scratch. I took notes, literal ones, hidden in my phone under the title grocery list. Dates, times, receipts, his moods, things he said and didn't say. Every time he claimed to be staying late at work, I logged it. Every unusual transaction, every unexplained phone call. I even began checking our shared location on my phone, which we'd turned on years ago when we first started traveling. Half the time he turned it off now, or claimed it glitched. The lies were stacking like bricks between us, and I could feel them pressing against my chest. I contacted a lawyer, not to take action, not yet, but to prepare, just in case. Then I did something I never thought I'd do. I reached out to Madison. It was a short message from a burner email. No threats, no accusations. Just, "We need to talk. It's about Mark." She didn't reply at first, but 2 days later I got a response. "Who is this?" I told her everything. Not my name, but enough. The years, the marriage, the receipts, the photos. She sent me one back. It was of their daughter, holding up a handmade Father's Day card. "To the best daddy in the world, I love you more than all the stars." I stared at it until the screen blurred with tears. I asked her the question that had been clawing at me since I saw them together. "Did you know about me?" Her answer, "No. I thought I was his wife." I felt my stomach drop. This wasn't just betrayal. It was bigamy. Deception on a scale I couldn't process. He hadn't just been living a double life emotionally. He duplicated it, replicated it. 2 homes, 2 families, 2 realities. And now? I wasn't sure which one he thought was real. I decided the next night I would confront him. He walked in from work, or wherever he'd been, loosened his tie, kissed me on the head, like always. I had dinner waiting. His favorite. We sat, ate. He talked about some project at the office. I nodded. I was calm, too calm. And then I slid the printed bank statement across the table. "What's this?" he asked. I didn't answer, just waited. His eyes scanned the line that started it all. MH Lunch Act, $68.50. Then he looked up at me, pale, silent, and I said, as gently as I could, "Tell me who she is." He didn't deny it. He didn't even blink, just whispered, You weren't supposed to find out. You weren't supposed to find out. Those 5 words shattered what was left of my world. Mark stared down at his plate like it might swallow him whole. I sat frozen, trying to process whether I was more heartbroken or humiliated. I always imagined infidelity came with denial, excuses, some pathetic attempt to lie through it, but he didn't even try. I wasn't supposed to find out? I repeated, my voice flat. Mark looked up slowly, his face drained. I was going to end it. End what? I snapped. The other woman? The second family? Or our entire marriage? He rubbed his face like he was trying to erase himself. It started before we got married. I didn't plan on keeping it going. But then, things got complicated. Complicated? I laughed bitterly. You have a child with her, Mark. Silence. I asked her if she knew about me. I continued. She thought she was your wife. I didn't marry her, he said quickly, defensively, as if that changed everything. It was just a relationship with a child. He finally broke. Tears welled in his eyes, but I had no sympathy left. I tried to do right by both of you. I send money. I take care of her. But I love you. You love me? I repeated, stunned. You've lied to me for years and you call that love? I didn't want to lose you. I kept telling myself I'd fix it, that I'd find the right time to tell you and walk away from her. But you never did. No, he whispered. I got up and walked to the living room. I needed space, but there was nowhere in this house. Our house that didn't feel contaminated. He followed me. Please don't leave. Leave? I turned. Mark, I don't even know who you are. I've shared a life, a bed, a bank account with a stranger. A man with 2 lives. He reached for me, but I stepped back. I've spent the last week replaying every moment of our marriage, I said. Trying to find the clues, the cracks, and you know what hurts the most? He didn't answer. It's not that you cheated. It's not even the other woman. It's the choice. You looked me in the eye every day, told me you loved me, and chose to keep lying. You let me build a life on something fake. He collapsed onto the couch like the weight of it had finally crushed him. I'll go, he said. If that's what you want, I'll give you everything. The house, the accounts. I'll walk away. I didn't answer right away, because I didn't know yet what I wanted, but I knew what I didn't want anymore. Lies, shadows, half-truths wrapped in promises. I needed time, space, reality. I'm not making any decisions tonight, I said. But you're sleeping in the guest room. He nodded, defeated, and I walked upstairs, not just away from him, but toward whatever life I was going to build next. It's been 6 months. 6 months since my world cracked wide open, and somehow I'm still standing. Stronger, actually, though I didn't feel that way in the beginning. After that night, Mark moved out within the week. He offered to stay, to make things right. But there was no coming back from what he did. Some betrayals don't leave space for redemption, not in a marriage built on deception. I spent weeks vacillating between heartbreak and fury. Therapy helped. So did journaling, yoga, and long walks alone, and with my sister, who showed up at my door every time she sensed I might break. Mark, for his part, didn't fight the divorce. Maybe he thought that was the least he could do after detonating our life. Or maybe he knew the damage was beyond repair. We split the assets. I got the house. He kept the car and drained his separate account, the one I'd never known about until all this unfolded. The lawyer asked if I wanted to go after more. I said no. I didn't want his money. I wanted my life back. What surprised me most was her. Angela, the other woman, reached out. A text, then a call, then coffee, in a tiny cafe where neither of us could look each other in the eye for the first 10 minutes. She wasn't what I expected. No sharp edges, no hostility. Just a tired woman trying to make sense of a lie she'd also been living in. I thought I was the secret, she said quietly. No, I told her. I was. We shared stories, timelines, pieces of Mark that never quite fit until we saw them, laid out side by side. We cried. We laughed at the absurdity of it all. And then we promised to move forward, separately but stronger. For her child. For ourselves. I still get mail in his name sometimes. Old habits die hard, even for postal systems. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I hadn't looked at the bank statement that day. Would I still be smiling at a man who was living a double life? Planning vacations while he planned visits to his other child? I try not to dwell there too long. Because here's the truth. Discovering the lie didn't ruin my life. It saved it. I've started fresh. Changed careers. Something I'd always dreamed of but never dared to try. I paint. Again, I travel. I make decisions without checking in with anyone but myself. As for love, I'm not rushing. Not because I'm bitter, but because I know now what it should feel like. And I won't settle for less. Mark sent me a letter last month. No return address. Just a few pages, apologies, regrets, a confession of sorts. He said he didn't expect forgiveness. Just wanted me to know he finally understood what he lost. I folded the letter, placed it in a box I keep in my closet, next to old photos, broken trinkets, and other artifacts of a life that's no longer mine. Because some stories aren't meant to be rewritten. They're meant to be closed. And mine is just beginning.